It's a little bit more an impact and influence as a coach. Obviously, I've already said, the coach is the body is doing the coaching, yeah? People listen to the body and not the words, right? You know this emotionally, we convey this. Let's look at that in a bit more detail. So what have you got to work with? You've got your own posture, right? You can change my spinal position, my feet, my hands, can change the speed I'm moving at, tone of voice is a big way we work with embodiment, isn't it? So we've got tone of voice. There are other ways of the voice, for example, pauses and inflections and up and down, yeah? You directly, of course, there are things you can do in terms of touch, but sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you're on Zoom or it's a corporate context, cultural context, whatever. So don't be too reliant upon touch. I'd say your main tool is really your own body. So regulating yourself so that you can actually influence others more through that. Through those mechanisms we talked about before, like empathy and polarity. Yeah, and then obviously there's getting them to do stuff, getting them to rub their hands together, breathe differently, sit differently, move differently, whatever. But again, the subtle one is your own subtle influence on them. Things to notice there, like which element are you in, you can use that model, but also things like hierarchy, like noticing if you're subtly dominating the client or if they're subtly dominating you. For example, some clients, if they're famous or something, I'm like, please, I can see it in my body and I'm apologizing and I've lost authority. Or it might be like, I really want the client to do a certain thing and almost, they're still consenting, but I'm pushing them in a direction. I was doing a therapy session yesterday actually, and my therapist started pushing me a little bit in a direction and my inner rebel just immediately pushed back, and then they caught themselves and they went, you know what, maybe you don't want to do that. And they gave me the choice and then I was fine, So yeah, that's another one to notice. Humor, obviously you've heard me make many hilarious jokes over the course so far. Humor is a major influencing factor, yeah. Used wisely. So we talk about this away from and towards humor. So towards connection to self and other, away from connection to self and other, usually encouraging towards humor as a way to deepen in or to lighten up out of a sort of you of a session or an exercise. There's a right and a wrong, timing is everything. There's a right and a wrong timing for humor and different types of humor, right? I don't always get it right, but it's certainly a powerful tool. One of the harder ones to teach, but one of the better ways to influence actually as a coach, and I think it's under-taught because it's hard to teach, but just paying attention to it, I think is a major one. What are we role modeling, of course, is the other piece of influence, right? Like your client comes to you for punctuality class, to help with their punctuality and you're late as a coach, well, that's not gonna help. So there's a few different ways to influence the coach. Environmental changes. So where are you in the environment? Do you do the coaching inside or outside, standing up, lying down? Changing the physical positions of the coachee is a great way to influence them. Just getting people to stand up sometimes and shake and little things like that, again, makes a huge difference to the coachee. Changing the environment, taking them into a church, taking them into a park, taking them into a basement, you don't have to do coaching in their office in the same place. I remember one corporate client, they used to want to do their coaching in a little office that had glass windows and you could see the office with everything going on. And it's almost like they were keeping an eye on it on their employees, their staff, and it was like, I just had to get them out of there because it just was so not helpful for them actually focusing on the inner process. So, macro factors like that too. Anyway, a few thoughts on influence and yeah, as ever, experiment and your body is the main one.